YouTubers, this is Joe from ArtAlienTV. Another quick game of interplanetary I Spy going on here. We have today what looks like a giant Sphinx in Gale Crater on Mars. I'm going to try and keep this short. Basically, I've been going over some of the older sols, going back a couple of years, and I stumbled on this strange outcrop at the bottom of Mount Sharp in the dried up lake bed. And I've been seeing this for years now, from different angles, from over the last 2 or even 3 years, in fact, and this object has shown up in many, many images. In fact, it's probably in hundreds of images, but this particular angle is the best angle because it's the closest, and this particular sol, which is sol 654, I think the camera, the actual Curiosity mass camera zoomed in quite a long way, so we're seeing it in greater detail than we are on other sols. As we see here, this is the day after, this is 655, and it seemed a lot further away because basically the camera hasn't zoomed in as much, and you can just about make it out up here in the top right corner. But the one we really want is this one, which is 654, and as you can see, the camera zoomed right into these rocks here to look at this ridge, and this then slopes right down into the dried up lake bed here, and then you have what looks like a very large Sphinx here. Now, size, I estimate this to be 100 foot long, possibly 200 foot long, depending on where you measure it from. I mean, if you start the measurement here, you know, obviously it's longer, but the actual structure I think starts about here and goes to here, this black spot here. So I'm going to show you in the Gigapan. I've got it here. This is thanks to Neville T for this, Nev Thompson. Done a nice job here. Now, there's different versions of it here. Obviously, you've got the color corrected version below, which is bluer, which actually is really nice. And there's some good detail in here. If you look at the foreground, you've got some nice detail in these rocks. Some of this looks a bit like coral or something, may or may not be, but that's interesting. So yeah, some nice detail here, and one of the better sols, I think, this one. The lighting conditions were good, and the camera zoomed in and quite well focused for once, which is makes a nice change. And there it is in the white balance version. You can see it pretty clearly, and I've done nothing to this. This is as it comes. This is just being color corrected, and you can see what looks like a body here with a rather straight structure on the back. I mean, this may be a building, I don't know. It could even just be random rocks, I don't know. But to me, when you see a structure that looks like a Sphinx with a head like that, with a nose and an eye, and a chin here, and the top of the head here, and a strange looking object, or perhaps an entrance, or some kind of entrance to a tomb or something here. Now, what we may be seeing here, because this is quite a long way off, this dark object here, which looks like a door, may actually be going into some kind of structure just behind here, but it's very vague and may all be covered in sand and dust and everything. So what we may be seeing here is just a faint outline of a building here or something as well. So hard to tell. So I did some enhancements. I'll try and keep this quick. I did some very quick enhancements of this, and I'll show you it again. This is the raw clip. Okay, and as you can see, this is actually quite a good quality image, but obviously this thing is quite a long way off. Here it is. So I think this is around 100 foot long. It could be 200 foot long. Not sure exactly. It could be 70 or 80. I'll try and work that out, but it is very, very hard with these things because you don't know exactly how far away it is. You know roughly. And you can see here in the raw image that there's something going on here. There's a Sphinx-shaped structure with a Sphinx-like head on it, which kind of looks human, but kind of doesn't in a way. It's very strange. Yeah, so what that represents, or who that represents, God only knows. Here's a close-up. Here's a clip straight from the Gigapan here. This is untreated from the color-corrected version, which is much bluer, as you can see, and I went in and really darkened it up. The problem is when you do that, you do lose some detail. There's some detail to be seen here. This looks like an archway or some kind of door, and when you really darken it up, it just goes black, obviously. But then you can actually see let's go to that one where I've brightened it a bit more. You can actually see a nose, a mouth, an eye, the top of the head here, the chin's fairly clear, and this structure kind of slopes down like this. This almost looks like long feet here, and perhaps paws or something of a sphinx. I don't know. This may actually be a building, but just with a massive statue head kind of carved into it. I really don't know for sure, but it does look like a sphinx to me. And there are many, many other statues in Gale Crater, not as big as this. This is very, very large. This is at least 100 foot long. It may be 2 or 3 times that size. So there we have it, folks. Is it a sphinx? Is it just a natural structure? Is this an entrance? It certainly looks like one. It really is a very intriguing image, and my favourite find of the year so far, actually. I've been going back through a lot of these older images to see if I can find anything I missed originally when I went through them a year or 2 years ago. And there's still a lot to be found. I do recommend a lot of you out there. I know there's a lot of you alien hunters out there who like to sift through these images. There are loads and loads of things still in the archives that have not been spotted yet. Here it is on the Curiosity Traverse map. We're going to go. This is obviously the landing site up here, Bradbury Landing, and we come all the way down here. Mount Sharp is over here, beyond this dark area, which is the dried out lake bed, and this particular sol we're at is around here. So we're at 654. So we'll be approximately here, looking across this area here, and those rocks you can see in the foreground of the image are on this ridge, and then the ridge drops right down into the lake bed here, and on one of these outcrops here we have what looks like the Sphinx. So now you're not going to see it from this level of elevation because it's too high up, but that gives you an idea of scale, and we've got a map scale here. So it's about 1 kilometre from the edge of the lake bed, and it may be another ½ kilometre again until we get to the Sphinx. So it could be about 1 mile away. So there we go, that gives us a rough idea. So we're looking across here like this. Let me show you the Gigapan again. I do recommend the Gigapan because it does give you a better sense of scale, but even this can be very deceptive because it looks, to all intents and purposes, like the rover isn't very far away from this object, but it is. It's over 1 kilometre, perhaps 1.5 kilometres or more. So that's how easily it is to actually get confused by the distances in these images, because especially when you have the terrain dropping away behind a ridge like this, you really don't know how far it is from this rock to that Sphinx. But it's a good kilometre from here to there, and possibly ½ kilometre between this rock and that Sphinx in the background. So there we have it. I will put the enhancements in at the end of the video for you to have another closer look at. Thanks for watching, everybody, and do check out if you haven't already, check out my Mars Statue Heads playlist on my channel. There's loads and loads of similar things here, including other sphinxes, but none of them are quite this big. These are all much smaller. Some of these are a few feet across, some of these statue heads, some are only a foot, some are 4 or 5 feet across, but most of these are quite small. This is on a different scale altogether and is way, way bigger than any of those, and you can even see it on other sols. And in fact, you could probably go through a lot of the sols on the Gigapan site and just look at this background here where the lake bed is, and you'll see this in multiple sols. You'll see it across 3 years of images. So it is definitely there. The question is it a Sphinx? That is what I'm here for, and that is why you're watching. Thanks for watching, everybody. I'll see you soon.